So I'm Hession and I'm an energy healer. And one of the most common questions I get is, what is energy healing? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hi, this is Hession. I'm a medical intuitive and an energy healing practitioner. And I'm going to talk about one of the most common questions I hear, which is, what is energy healing? So energy healing is really a general or umbrella term for any number of different healing modalities that work with the energy systems of the body to stimulate, unblock, or promote the body's own natural healing processes. There are lots of different kinds you may have heard of. Reiki is probably the best known one. The Sedona method, acupuncture and acupressure are energy healing, which work with the body's energy meridians. The Bowen method, quantum touch, EFT, which is also often just referred to as tapping, pranic healing, therapeutic touch, theta healing, and the emotion code and the body code, and many more. Some of them, like acupuncture and pressure, the Bowen method, and therapeutic touch, usually involved hands-on, in-person healing. And others, including Reiki, pranic healing, and the emotion code and the body code, can be done in person, but are very commonly done over distance because they're working with the person's spirit and or their energy body. There's no need for physical contact. I personally have worked with people from all over the world over the phone with very powerful results. And if that sounds unbelievable to you, no worries, you are not alone. Almost everyone who now swears by distance energy healing thought the exact same thing before they tried it. Energetic healing is coming from a very different paradigm than the dominant paradigm in health today. In Western culture, we tend to have a very analytical and reductionist view of physical health, and I would argue that this has worked both in our favor in many ways and also against us in terms of our overall health in other ways. That's a topic for another time, but here's an analogy of how energy healing works that I think also makes at least some sense, even from the dominant paradigm, and you may find it helpful. So any illness, disease, or dysfunction has underlying causes. It didn't arise from nothing, even when it appears to manifest very quickly. So those underlying causes or imbalances can take many forms: nutritional, genetic, structural, toxins, pathogens, emotions, and so forth. In many cases, they've been there for months or years before we notice the physical symptoms that they eventually cause. Here's an analogy I think you might find helpful. So think of it this way. Each of us has a direction we're heading in with our health, and we have momentum taking us in that direction. Kind of like a ship at sea, it's going in a certain direction, and there are several things like wind and currents and the engines and the steering decisions that have it going in that direction at that speed. In the absence of changing anything, we're going to keep going in that direction. Let's say that way down the road, there's a health issue that we're heading toward, kind of like an iceberg in the ship analogy. And if we keep going this direction, eventually there's a really good chance we're going to hit it. If we wait until the last minute, when we start having significant symptoms, we may not be able to do anything to change it. But if we make even minor course corrections much earlier, way before we even have symptoms, because we identified the underlying imbalances, we might miss that impending disease or iceberg by miles just because we made a small change far enough back. Energy healing is about working with that inherent momentum that each of us already has and course correcting, changing the most significant underlying imbalances that are having us go in that direction so that the direction changes away from disease, dysfunction, and pain and toward wellness and healing and optimal health. And of course, the sooner the underlying imbalances are addressed, the sooner we're on a different course. So let me give you some examples of what that might look like. Let's say you have a group of underlying imbalances going on. Let's say you have some nutritional deficiencies, plus you have some inherited weakness in, for example, your lungs. Plus, you're exposed to a lot of toxic fumes at your work. Plus, you're under a lot of emotional stress because of ongoing conflict in your family, and then one winter you get pneumonia. then at that point, you're looking at someone with a lot of underlying factors creating a lot of momentum in the direction of more lung problems, recurrent problems. Probably you'd get bronchitis really easily and have a hard time recovering. You become someone everyone can hear coming because of that constant cough. And down the road, if we don't address these underlying imbalances and start to shift your momentum in a different direction, you might end up with some very serious lung disease. But what if you'd started addressing those underlying imbalances sooner? What if you had started eating more healthily way back in your 20s? What if you'd chosen not to take that job because you didn't want to expose yourself to those toxins? What if you'd been able to get some help and make some healthy changes with your family so you were less stressed? Maybe you wouldn't have gotten the pneumonia because your lungs and immune system might have been healthy enough to fight it off. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Most of the time, when we have a certain set of symptoms, they are the result of many different underlying imbalances that are interacting with each other and that may have been present for months or years before they started to create the actual symptoms. The more imbalances there are, the more momentum you have in that direction and the more it will take to change direction. As an energy healer and medical intuitive, what I'm doing is finding those underlying imbalances and working with you to clear them or address them as early as possible so your body can not only heal any of the current issues you're dealing with, but also change that direction and momentum to create a healthier future. Far and away, the most common type of imbalance I find affecting people's health is trapped emotional energy, emotional baggage from the past that they are carrying around. And it is usually a significant part of why their bodies aren't healing effectively, why they have recurrent health issues and life issues. And you may want to watch one of my videos on emotional baggage to learn more about that. The good news is that's one of the easiest and fastest types of imbalances to clear through energy healing. So is that helpful? I'd love to hear your comments below. So feel free to check out the information, subscribe to the channel if you want to learn more, and we'll see you next time.